I'll be sharing with you some of the insights on research article writing from idea to publication, especially with relation to the social sciences. So writing a research article from conceptualization to publication, it involves several key stages, and I'll provide you with a step-by-step guideline to help you navigate through the process. Next slide. So the first step is to identify a research idea. And every article begins with a curiosity on a topic of interest and utilize your expertise to present to the world your perspectives. So the first step is to start by identifying a topic of interest within your field of study and make an abstract which contains a brief background of description, and it involves problem statement and the major research questions that your article aims to seek answers of. And usually reputed journals, they ask for 200 to 300 words abstract with a few keywords, 4 to 5 keywords. So in the same abstract, that idea, you should be having a brief idea about the existing literature that would help you identify gaps and some controversies if there are any, and any other areas that need further exploration, which you think that you might be able to present. And then you'll have to formulate a few research questions or hypotheses that you have to validate or invalidate, and that would help you address the gaps in the knowledge. So the next step, after a short brief abstract, you'll have to think about the literature review. And literature review, we'll be talking more about it throughout my presentation here as well. That will help you to gain a better understanding. So the literature review would be, you'll have to conduct this comprehensive literature review to understand the existing research and the theories that are related to your topic. And if you do your literature review very comprehensively and thoroughly and meticulously, you will be able to even get ideas on the research questions that you may not have thought about through the existing literature. So it will help you identify the relevant methodologies as well as the theoretical frameworks and also findings from the previous studies. And maybe from those previous studies, it may help you to identify what you perhaps want to present in your article. And these literatures that you would present, you will have to critically analyze and synthesize them so as to put them in the context of your research. And what normally, ideally, convenient way to present the literature review is to arrange the literature thematically under various subsections. So in this way, if you arrange them in such thematic, under such thematic areas, you will have all the relevant arguments on one theme of your chosen topic under one section. And so this will help you differentiate or segregate between various arguments as well. And always remember to make in-text citations followed by the full reference at the end of the bibliography section, which is in the references part. We'll talk about the literature review further as we go around the presentation. So next slide. After we have done a brief literature review, for the initial ideas exploration, we'll move on to what kind of research design do we want. So you'll have to have research objectives and the aims based on the identified gaps. And based on what kind of research you are intending to perform, you have to select the appropriate research methods. For example, if yours is is a study which is based on archival research, then you have to present an archival study as a research methodology. Or if it has to be experimental, or if it has to be observational or qualitative or quantitative, or it may have a mixed of all the approaches, or even action-based research. And then based on the research methods that you have identified and you have concretized upon, then it will help you to develop a clear-cut research design, including what are the sampling techniques, what are the data collection methods, and various kinds of research analysis and procedures that you would want to proceed with. Then we'll have to perform data collection and analysis based on the methods that you have employed previously, and all the data that you have secured or generated, including data also includes the archival resources. So you'll have to collate all the data and employ rigorous data analysis methods which will be relevant to your research design. And then based on the results, you have to interpret the results in relation to your research questions or hypothesis, which will help you answer the research questions and also validate or invalidate your hypothesis. Next slide. Yeah, so now we come to the main part, which is writing of the manuscript. So typically you need to follow the structure which is typically required by your target journal, which includes various subsections, and we'll talk about it shortly, which includes introduction, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, etc. And so this structure has to be followed. And so write a clear and concise introduction that outlines the background, objectives, and significance of the study. Describe the methodology in detail, including the participant selection, data collection, analysis, and procedures. And present the results objectively using the tables, figures, and statistics wherever these are necessary. Discuss the implications of your findings and their contributions to the existing literature. And conclude the summary by summarizing the key findings, limitations, and future research directions. There may be research gaps even at the end of your study. However, it may help other prospective researchers on your topic to study those areas as well. So next slide. Now we'll delve into what are the contents of a standard report of a well-conducted research. First would be the title page, and this will also help you perhaps for writing your article or your research output for this fellowship as well. So first would be the title page. Include the title of your report, your name, date, institution or organization which you're affiliated with, and also consider adding your institution's logo or graphic related to your research with their due permission from them. And one thing that has to be noted is wherever you are utilizing ideas from anywhere, that has to be properly cited. Second would be the table of contents. Provide a clear and comprehensive table of contents with the page numbers for easy navigation. Then would be the list of abbreviations used, and a list of tables and figures if you have used them or if you have put them in the manuscript. So those have to be also listed along with the page numbers. Then comes the executive summary. So normally people tend to read the introduction part more. They are more engaged in reading the executive summary. So summarize the major objectives, methods, findings, and recommendations of your research in a concise and quite engaging manner. And major highlights and key takeaways must be included in the executive summary. Next would be the introduction. Like after the executive summary, we actually begin with the main research article, which would have the introduction. So provide an overview of the research problem, its significance, and the research questions that you aim to address. Clearly state the objectives of your study and explain the relevance of your social science research in the context of your work. Now coming again to literature review, since this is most important part, so that's why it's back and forth. So conduct a thorough review of literature and theories relevant to your research topic. And literature review, when you conduct extensive literature review, it will help you also get ideas from those who have already conducted the study and also help you with further further references and further bibliographical sources, which you may also research upon and give you more ideas and better arguments that you can present in your literature review. So again, you should ideally arrange the literature according to the various themes. And you may also, if that is possible, you may critically evaluate the previous studies and especially identify the gaps that you feel are there, and or their weaknesses, and how your study is going to address those gaps. And yes, in the end, when you write your references, it may also follow the footnote style or the endnote style, but that has to be taken care in cognizance with your target journal, whatever is there, whatever are their editorial guidelines. So that has to be followed quite strictly. Next slide. Methodology. So you'll have to describe your research design. Next part would be in the methodology, your research design, including the approach, as we discussed, quantitative, qualitative, mixed, etc., and data collection methods and sampling strategies. But when you are doing this, you have to justify your choices and explain how they are aligning with your research project, and detail any ethical considerations and measures that are taken to ensure the participant confidentiality and informed consent. So this is very important, and especially the journals in the Western countries, they ask for such a confidentiality report before any publication actually happens. So that has to be taken care of. And in the results, you have to present your findings very clearly and objectively. You may use tables, charts, and graphs wherever appropriate to enhance the understanding of the reader. You can provide detailed analysis of the data, linking it back to your research objectives and how you have attained them. You need to highlight any patterns or trends or significant relationships that have been discovered through your research. Then after presenting the results in an objective form, you need to engage in a discussion, which will be quite theoretical. And you have to interpret and analyze the results in the context of the existing theories and literature. You need to discuss the implications of your findings and their significance to the wider social science research. You need to address any limitations, as I mentioned before, that such and such these were the limitations of your study, and maybe further research, future research may be undertaken on those areas as well. And finally, we'll have to have a concluding part, a conclusion, where you'll have to summarize the key findings, implications, and contributions of your research on the wider social sciences, and restate the research objectives and how they have been achieved. If it is because it is a public policy course, so you may, if you undertake any public policy research, please try and include as many policy recommendations as possible, of course restricted to your field of study, that will help other practitioners and policymakers and other researchers to take note of, and also maybe for their future planning and action. Next is the references. While these come at the end, but these are very important. You need to follow a consistent and recognized citation style based on the journal's requirement, and for all the sources that you have studied, you have cited in your report, or whatever has been asked by your institution. And these have to be alphabetized by the author's last names. You can also include appendices, any additional materials that are relevant to your research, for example, questionnaires, for example, any other data which may help in cross-checking or verifying your data analysis, etc. You can also include interview transcripts, photographs from primary field study, etc. So next slide. Now that you have written your first draft of your manuscript, the real work begins. Next slide, please. Yeah, so editing and revising. You have to review your manuscript for clarity, coherence, and accuracy. While we tend to lose our patience by now, but this is very important. Continuous review and you may also send your manuscript to colleagues who can keep your manuscript confidential, because this is targeted towards publication in a journal. So get reviews from mentors, colleagues, supervisors to improve the quality of your writing, and also they can also give you some good feedback on what may be missing, so that your your article is actually accepted by the journal. Then you submit, and it goes for peer review. You identify the target journals that align with the scope and audience of your research. Prepare a cover letter. They generally ask all these things in the editorial guidelines also. And submit your manuscript, either it is through various online process, or you may simply have to email them. And then your manuscript will undergo peer review. Sometimes it is blind, double-blind peer review. And during this time, experts in the field will evaluate the quality and originality and significance of the research. And after a few days, perhaps, you may hear from the reviewers, you may hear from the journal editorial team with the reviewers' comments, and then you may have to revise your manuscript accordingly. And then finally, after you have incorporated all the reviews, comments, etc., then if your article is accepted, then upon acceptance, you'll have to work with the journal's editorial team to address any remaining formatting or proofreading, etc. And once finalized, your article will be published in the journal and made available in the wider community of readers. So throughout the process, it is important to adhere to the ethical guidelines, such as proper citation practices, ensuring participant confidentiality, obtaining necessary approvals for researchers that involve human or animal subjects, and additionally staying organized and maintaining a clear communication with the collaborators and journal editors can help you with a smoother publication journey. So next slide. So some additional tips that will help you navigate through the process smoothly. While this may be very overwhelming, but if you follow these step-by-step guidelines, it will be quite smooth and quite helpful. So in the executive summary, please try and stay away from jargons and technical terms. Use a very clear and concise writing style to as much as possible. Proofread your report thoroughly for grammar, spelling, punctuation errors, etc. So clear-cut, simple writing would be sufficient. You don't need to have a flowery language expertise, etc. But if you have them, so you may utilize them to the best of your abilities. Most important is ensure that the literature that has been used is cited, and the report and the article is completely plagiarism-free. Plagiarism-free means you have to make appropriate citations, and you may use different available plagiarism checking tools for the purpose. For example, Turnitin, and there are others also available. So make sure that you restrict your plagiarism to like 8% or 10% at the max, but all the researches that you have borrowed, your even arguments that you have borrowed have proper citations, full citations, and wherever necessary, you need to provide the hyperlinks in the references. And please pay attention to all formatting, ensuring consistent headings, font styles, as has been asked by the editorial team of the target journal, and the margins throughout the document. So it is important because the editorial team will have to spend lesser time doing all these, and it helps build a better rapport with the journal's editorial team. You can also include relevant visuals, charts, graphs, images to enhance that understanding of your findings, and makes it better for the reader. And you may seek feedback from colleagues or mentors to ensure that the highest editorial standards are met. So this is a general guideline as a starting point, and you may have to tailor it to fit the specific requirements and guidelines provided by your institution, provided by your target journal. And I think it will help you smoothen through the process. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for